well.
而家透過 e 帳戶服務，開戶即賺200蚊獎賞，做埋定期競爭。
So first we have the things that fall in the chemical category, the biochemistry.
So first we have the things that fall in the chemical category, the biochemistry of your
body. So first of all, you have to eat, and you have to provide your body the right nutrients.
So first of all, you have to eat and you have to provide your body the right nutrients.
The best way to do that is to eat nutrient-dense, whole, fresh food.
To eat nutrient-dense, whole, fresh food.
And I've done lots and lots of videos on that. We're talking meat and veggies and healthy fats and nuts and all that good stuff that you.
We are talking meat and veggies and healthy fats and nuts and all that good stuff
can get from the planet that has not been processed.
Get from the planet that has not been processed.
Another great way to support your biochemistry.
Another great way to support your biochemistry
is intermittent fasting.
Is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting. 间歇性进食
And it's nothing extreme about that.
And it's nothing extreme about that. And it's nothing extreme about that. 这并没有什么极端的。
It simply means that you eat a little.
It simply means that you eat a little
bit fewer meals. You don't
bit fewer meals.
want to eat 6 times a day, and you don't want to eat every waking hour.
You don't want to eat 6 times a day, and you don't want to eat every waking hour.
I recommend you eat 1 to 3 meals within a 6 to 12-hour period.
I recommend you eat 1 to 3 meals within a 6 to 12-hour period.
That is plenty for most people. And this way you balance the storage and the cleanup.
And this way you balance the storage and the cleanup.
You eat, you put things in. When you don't eat, you start burning them. And
when you don't eat, you start burning them.
This provides a great balance and allows your body to empty out and clean up properly.
To empty out and clean up properly.
Then your body also needs clean air.
Then your body also needs clean air,
clean water, and it needs non-toxic products as much as possible.
It needs non-toxic products as much as possible.
Have some capacity to detoxify from chemicals.
You have some capacity to detoxify from chemicals
and metals, etc. But the more you overwhelm your body, the harder it is for it to be successful. And then it can be a good idea to supplement with nutritional supplements as necessary, because
and then it can be a good idea to supplement with nutritional supplements as
Because
necessary.
most people don't eat properly,
People don't eat properly,
and even if they try, it can be difficult because of soil depletion,
and even if they try, it can be difficult because of the soil depletion. 土壤肥力下降
and because the food quality isn't really what it was 100 years ago.
because the food quality isn't really what it was 100 years
So
ago.
some of the supplements we might want to look at are fish oils and minerals and vitamins.
Fish oils and minerals and vitamins.
Try to get a good quality and a
Try to get a good quality
whole food supplement if you can.
a whole food supplement if you can.
And all these things will provide, obviously, the raw material
And all these things will provide, obviously, the raw materials
that we need to build a body and the catalysts to make it happen.
need to build a body and the catalysts to make it happen. Catalysts 催化剂
So we want to make body parts and we want to have the catalysts for the proper signals to provide that environment. So
want to have the catalyst for the proper signals to provide that environment. Have the catalyst for the proper signals to provide that environment. 拥有合适的信号催化剂，以提供那样的环境。
this is on the molecular level.
Molecular level 分子层面
This is what our bodies need.
This is what our bodies need.
And then we have the other side of the equation. Now,
And then we have the other side of the equation. The other side of the equation. 等式的另一边
we have the stuff that interferes, that robs you of vitality,
we have the stuff that interferes, that robs you of vitality. We have the stuff that interferes, that robs you of vitality. 我们有会产生干扰、剥夺你活力的物质
chemical breakdown of the body.
the chemical breakdown of the body.
And these are things like nutrient deficiencies.
Nutrient
If you
deficiencies.
don't provide the building blocks, your body can't do the work. And it can do an adequate job for decades.
And it can do an adequate job for decades. 它可以在几十年内正常发挥作用
But it can't do an optimal job for all of your life. And
optimal job for all of your life. 在一生中都发挥最佳作用。
this is why so many people start having issues in their 40s.
And this is why so many people start having issues in their 40s.
50s and 60s because it catches up with you.
Because it catches up with you. Because it catches up with you. 因为它会找上
A
你。
huge problem is overfeeding.
A huge problem is overfeeding. 一个大问题就是过度喂
We're
食
eating too much and too often.
，too much and too often.
And why do we do that?
And why do we do
Because
that?
we eat processed foods,
Because we eat processed
we eat
foods,
sugar
we eat sugar
and seed oils.
and seed oils.
And now what happens is because these are nutritionally deficient,
And now what happens is because these are nutritionally deficient
and they have addictive properties,
and they have addictive properties.
now we eat to change how we feel because
Now we need to change how we feel
it's like a drug.
because it's like a drug.
And we overeat to compensate for the fact that there are no nutrients in there.
Overeat to compensate for the fact that there are no nutrients in there. Overeat to compensate for the fact that there are no nutrients in there. Overeat to compensate for the fact that there are no nutrients in there. 过度进食是为了弥补食物中缺乏营养这一事实。
And the result of this processed food is often that we get blood sugar roller coasters.
We got blood sugar roller coasters.
We eat lots of starches.
We eat lots of starches. We eat lots of starches. 我们吃太多的淀粉类食物。
And sugars, and our blood sugar starts fluctuating, and as a result we get insulin resistant,
And sugar and our body sugar starts fluctuating. Our blood sugar starts fluctuating. 我们的血糖开始波动 and as a result, we get insulin
we
resistance,
start developing metabolic problems.
start developing metabolic
It's
problems.
metabolic dysfunction and breakdown.
Metabolic dysfunction and breakdown. 代谢功能紊乱和衰退。
Other things that interfere on the downside would be environmental toxins.
Environmental toxins.
This is anything that they spew out of factories that end up in our waters, in our food, in our soil.
In our food, in our soil,
There are chemicals,
there are
and
chemicals
heavy metals,
and heavy
and
metals,
pesticides, and plastics, and the list goes on and on. They all
and the pesticides and the plastics, and the list goes on and on.
interfere
They all
with what your
interfere
body is trying to do.
with what your body is trying to do.
And if all of these result in mitochondrial dysfunction,
And if all of these result in mitochondrial dysfunction. 如果所有这些最终都导致线粒体功能障碍，
now the mitochondria, of course, make our energy.
now the mitochondria, of course, make our
And
energy.
if we don't have proper energy supply,
And if we don't have proper energy
now we
supply,
can't perform all these processes.
can't perform all these processes.
So everything suffers a little bit.
So everything suffers a little bit.
And very often,
And very often,
all of this will
will
lead to gut and digestive breakdown.
will also lead to gut and digestive
If
breakdown.
we have poor digestion,
If we have poor digestion,
now we can't break
we can't
the
break
food down properly.
the food down
We
properly.
can't absorb nutrients,
We can't absorb
which
nutrients,
further contribute to nutrient deficiency.
which further contribute to nutrient deficiencies.
But also, if we don't have a healthy gut, now we
But also, if we don't have a healthy gut
get
now,
leaky gut,
we get leaky gut. We get leaky gut. 我们会出现肠道渗漏问
we
题。
get bacterial
We get bacterial overgrowth
of the wrong kind.
of the wrong
We
kind.
can't process foods,
We can't process foods,
so we get allergies to it.
so we get allergies to it. 所以我们会对此产生过敏反应
have chemicals leak into
into
bloodstream. We
bloodstream.
get inflammation
We get inflammation
and hypersensitivities
and hypersensitivity. We get inflammation and hypersensitivities. 我们会出现炎症和过敏反应
allergies and so on. So everything works together. And then we're going to the structural part of this equation.
We'll go to the structural part of this
And we'll
equation.
start with the stuff that supports life.
Start with the stuff that supports life,
And that is movement.
and that is movement.
And you want to do regular motion.
And you want to do regular motion.
And the more full range of motion that you can have, the more you're going to activate receptors.
And the more full range of motion that you can have, the more you are going to activate receptors. 当你接触的外来刺激越多，你就会越激活感受器。
To maintain all those tissues.
You're going to maintain all those tissues.
And you're going to send signals to the brain.
And you're going to send signals to the brain.
As much as 90% of all of the signals of the activity that keep the brain alive come from movement.
And 90% of all the signals of activity that keeps the brain alive come from movement.
And here again, we want to think about it as a lifestyle.
We want to think about it as a lifestyle.
Want to do something small dozens of times.
You want to do something small dozens of times
every day. You want to stand up. You
want to stand up.
Walk around.
You want to walk
around.
You want
to climb the stairs.
You want to climb the stairs.
You want to stretch a little bit.
You want to stretch a little bit.
You want to do 5 squats on your chair.
You want to do 5 squats on your chair. 你做5个深蹲动作。
And then you do what most people
think
of as movement and exercise.
Think of as movement and exercise.
Now you go do something organized 3 times a week.
Now you do something organized 3 times a week
for 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes.
And now you would add a little bit more intensity and stress to the body.
And now you would add a little bit more intensity and stress to your body.
And this would be weight-bearing exercise,
Weight-bearing exercise,
resistant exercise, and cardio.
And cardio. Being weight-bearing exercise, resistant exercise, and cardio. 负重训练、抗阻训练、抗阻运动和有氧运动。
You challenge your body.
So you challenge your
At
body
a little bit higher level.
at a little bit higher level.
And the more that you can add variety to your exercise and to your movement,
and the more that you can add variety and your exercise and to your movements,
and the more you can add in a bit of a challenge like high intensity, the better it is.
And the more you can add it in a bit of challenge like high intensity, the better it is.
Because the more variety, the more complex movements patterns, the more different types of exercise you perform, the more complex patterns you're going to make in your brain.
The more complex patterns you are going to make in your brain.
And the stronger and the more resilient your brain is going to be.
Resilient your brain is going to be.
And when we talk about brain, something most people don't know is that a chiropractic adjustment is one of the most powerful ways to stimulate the brain.
Chiropractic adjustment is one of the most powerful ways to stimulate the brain. 脊椎按摩纠正疗法是刺激大脑最有效的方法之一。
And the frontal cortex.
And the frontal cortex. 以及大脑额叶皮质。
I'll give you some more examples as we go.
And I will give you some more examples as we go here.
And other things that are great are Pilates and yoga and core strength exercises, because the more that you can increase the strength and flexibility of the spine, the more you're going to support that receptor input to the brain, because most of those receptors are in the spine.
Most of those receptors are in the spine. 这些感受器大多分布在脊椎中。
So what all of these things are doing in a fancy name is called afferentation, and that simply means all the signals.
It's called afferentation.
That are coming inbound to the brain and the nervous system. And those are the signals and the juice that keeps the brain alive. That's the purpose of the brain, is to process those signals. And a specific type of afferent, of incoming signals, is proprioceptive.
Proprioceptive signals. 本体感觉信号。
Signals. And proprioception simply means those are the signals that helps the brain understand where the body parts are in space relative to gravity and how those body parts are performing. And it's only based on that information that the brain can help and fix the body. And next is the negative aspect, the breakdown aspect of structural function. So if we have a sedentary lifestyle, if
We have a sedentary lifestyle. 我们有着久坐不动的生活方式。
sit all day long, obviously we're not getting all these signals that I just talked about. And what often happens with too much sitting is something chiropractors talk a lot about, but few people realize the importance. You could have a loss of spinal curves. Maybe the most important is the cervical curve in the neck, but the curves all work together. We develop them as babies. When we first start lifting our head, that's the first curve. And then as we start walking, we develop the others. And the spine can only move properly and send the proper signals to the brain if we have those curves in place and if we have good posture.
What happens when the prostate enlarges and the urine channel gets tight? If you have an enlarged prostate,
And one of the greatest threats to that we're seeing today is how many people are starting to have forward head posture, anterior head carriage, also called text neck or tech neck. So if you look at these pictures, then which one do you think represents you? And which ones maybe would represent your kids or your grandkids? And even if you don't have kids or grandkids, just look around and you will see how many young people are looking like this person on the far right. And next we have repetitive motions. If we overdo one type of motion or one type of exercise, now we overload one circuit at the expense of others. So a lack of variety can be a problem. We talked about the more variety you have, the more complex your brain patterns become and the more resilient your brain becomes. So a lack of variety will make for a more limited brain. And perhaps the biggest factor is disuse. Use it or lose it. And this goes so much further than most people realize. We've all heard the expression, but it truly is that way, that anything that you don't maintain for very long, soon you won't be able to do. And also we can have injuries that cause problems. And injuries usually heal physically, but if we have, while they were healing, if we have developed a reduced or lessened, a limited range of motion, now we also have developed limited signaling patterns and maybe compensation patterns. And again, what hurts us in the long run is not the body part that we injured, it's the fact that after this, when we have a compensatory pattern or a reduced range of motion, we're not sending the proper signals, we're not maintaining that brain the way we're supposed to anymore. And then we get to the third letter, the E for emotional. And we're not talking about emotional support per se, we're talking about the factors that support your life and your health in terms of emotions. So here we have things like a sense of value. Do you feel that you have a basic sense of value? Do you have a purpose? And it doesn't
You have a purpose. It doesn't have to be something that gets in the newspapers or is life-changing.
have to be something that gets in the newspapers or is life-changing. It just means that you must do something that feels important to you.
You must do something that feels important to you.
Raising a family is a huge purpose.
Raising a family is a huge purpose.
Or contributing to a company or a cause, or just providing any sort of value, or leaving the world a better place.
To a company or a cause, or just providing any sort of value, or leaving the world a better place.
In even a small way.
In even a small way.
All of those are great purposes.
All of those are great purpose.
We also need personal and social connections.
We also need personal and social connections.
We need friends. We need
friends.
some interaction.
We need some interaction.
And it's also very important to get some time in nature.
And it's also very important to get some time in nature.
To be under the sun.
To be under the
sun.
To
be in the fresh air.
To be in the fresh air.
To get some grounding.
To get some grounding.
And just to be with nature.
And just to be with nature.
So many people today, they don't know how to be in silence and just experience things. Meditation, praying, and breathing exercises, all of those can help center you and get you back into that healing, relaxed place. Quality sleep is super important to rejuvenate you. To have some downtime and reflection time.
To have some downtime or reflection time. 有一些休息和反思的时间。
We get so busy, we're just running around putting out fires, and then we get so tired that we don't want to do anything. We just want to be entertained and stimulated by something. Well, if that's all we do, then we never get to that quiet time, that reflection. Another thing that can be very, very powerful is detachment or non-attachment. And some people take that the wrong way. They think that, well, if I'm non-attached, that means I don't care about anything. No, not at all. You can have goals, you can have drives, you can have desires, but it means that you care about the right things. You don't care about things that don't matter. You don't care about people who insult you that don't matter. You don't care about other people in traffic. You don't even notice. And that way, you save all of that energy for yourself, for your well-being, and you can share that energy with the people that matter to you. We want to make it a goal to actively, not by default, not accidentally, but actively pursue joy, appreciation, to look at things and intentionally appreciate them.
To look at things and then intentionally appreciate them.
To be creative.
To be creative.
If you have a hobby or if you have an outlet to be creative.
If you have a hobby or if you have an outlet to be creative. Have an outlet to be creative. 有发挥创造力的途径。
And also, you want to allow some time to play. And then on the back side of that, we have the emotional factors that interfere, that detract, that rob you of energy and bring you closer to death. So chronic stress is perhaps the number one factor. We have emotional, financial, social stress.
We have emotional, financial, social stress.
And it doesn't really matter what you call it. Anything that feels bad is a form of stress.
Anything that feels bad is a form of stress.
They're finding more and more how loneliness and isolation can rob you of that life joy. And if you have fear or anger, now you're just putting yourself in that fight flight.
You are just putting yourself in that fight flight.
That stress situation all the time.
That stress situation all the
Because
time.
anger means you're basically ready to fight.
You are basically ready to fight.
Whether you get an outlet for it or not doesn't really matter. You're revving your body up for that. And if you live in fear, now you're just getting ready to protect yourself and run away all the time. And then we have something that's perhaps a more recent phenomena than the others, which is overstimulation, and from the modern sources.
Overstimulation and from the modern sources. 来自现代资源的过度刺激
like news and notifications, the phone going off all the time, the phones radiating us with blue light in addition to the computer screens, and they add to all that mental noise that we have in our heads. So basically, any regular negative emotion that we experience contributes to stress, and it contributes to rob us of quality of life. And these could be things like guilt and blame and worry and resentment, and the list goes on and on. There's 100 different words, but it all means that it doesn't feel good. So one of the most important things that we can do is to start noticing how we feel. And if you get carried away in the stress and the jumble of life, then use your phone for something good. Set a timer, set an alarm, and when it goes off, it says, check how you feel. Notice how you feel. And if it doesn't feel good, then change it. Do something about it. Take a few deep breaths. Change your focus. Because the most important thing you can do to break through this emotional stress is to pay attention to how you feel and pivot and interrupt that pattern somehow. So now you have the three factors: the chemical, structural, emotional. We talked about which factors add to life and which ones take away. But what is the common denominator in all that? Well, it's called the brain. It sits right between your ears and it regulates everything. And I want you to really pay attention to that word in capitals, everything. That doesn't mean some of the things, some of the times. It means everything about you is processed and regulated through your brain. And this is especially the frontal lobe. That's like the master overseer. It sits up front in your head and it overlooks and organizes everything else. Now, I'm going to get a little bit technical here, but I want you to stay with me and pay close attention, because this could be some of the most important things you have ever heard. And we're going to keep it in simple language. 90% of what the frontal lobe does is inhibitory.
90% of what the frontal lobe does is inhibitory. 抑制作
It
用
inhibits, it turns things off, it shuts things down, it dampens activity. When it has signals coming in from the body, it blocks them. And that is so super important. Here's why. There's 4 things that the brain inhibits, that the frontal lobe turns off. One is flexor muscles.
One is flexor muscles. 一种是屈肌
And those are muscles primarily on the front of the body. And when they flex, when they tense up, you tend to get this forward posture, this protective posture. We'll go through these in more detail. Number 2 is it inhibits stress. Stress is necessary for survival, but if it becomes chronic, now it becomes counterproductive and it becomes some of the things that take away from your health instead. Number 3 is it inhibits, it turns off, it blocks and balances your mood, especially the negative mood and the stress and the worry. And the 4th thing, critical thing it does is it inhibits pain. The first thing your frontal lobe inhibits that's critical is flexor muscles. And when something happens in your environment, when there's a danger, when there's something you have to react to, if it's a tiger or if it's a bus or a car, you have to jump out of the way, you need to react, you need to do it fast. So what happens now is you get signals that put you in a fight-flight stage. And that's a defensive stage. So you assume a defense posture. Your flexor muscles tighten up so you can protect yourself. And all your muscle tone goes up so that you can jump out of the way or you could run quickly if you need to. So stress responses can save your life, but they're designed for the short term, for very, very brief duration. When we're talking about the long term, now there's supposed to be a balance between flexors and extensors.
There's supposed to be a balance between flexors and extensors. 屈肌和伸肌之间应该保持一种平衡。
And flexors are mostly on the front of the body, so they do this. Extensors will straighten you back out. And this is critical for your health, not just musculoskeletal, but for your brain health and for your overall well-being also. But if your frontal lobe is a little weak, if it's not able to turn things off, it's like a light bulb. A really bright light bulb can shine a lot of light, but a dim light bulb can't do that much. So if your frontal lobe is like a dim light bulb, now it can't inhibit, it can't turn off as many things as it's supposed to. So now we end up with chronic flexor muscle activation, and we end up with a hunched over posture.
We end up with a hunched over posture. 最终我们会形成一个驼背的姿势。
How many people do you see walking around like that, especially as they get older. And as our current generation with the text neck is growing up, that's not going to get any better. But what that hunched over posture also does is it contributes to a loss of curves. And why are those curves so important? It's because your head weighs about the same as a bowling ball, and signals flow inside the spine, but they're also generated by the spine. So the receptors that signal your brain about movement, the majority, most of those receptors that generate most of those signals are actually in the joints of the spine. And the vast majority of those are in the upper portion called the cervical spine. So if you have a cervical curve, then your head balances. It's not like a bobblehead, but it balances naturally on top of your head. With every step, with every breath, you have a little bit of motion that contributes to the overall signaling. But if you lose those curves, now you put tension on those structures and you have a decreased amount of signaling. And then, of course, if there is decreased signaling, now there is less input to the frontal lobe, so there's less inhibition, and we have one of these vicious cycles set up.
We have one of those vicious cycles set up. We have one of these vicious cycles set up. 我们会陷入这样一种恶性循环。
And the second thing that the frontal lobe is supposed to inhibit, to turn off, is chronic stress. We said that stress is necessary for survival, but that's short-term stress. Chronic long-term stress breaks us down, and here's why. If you have chronic fight-flight, if you're in chronic defense mode, now you produce a hormone called cortisol, which is a stress hormone. The main purpose of that hormone is to raise blood glucose, which in turn will increase insulin, which will increase cravings. And if this goes on for a while and leads to insulin resistance, now we also increase inflammation. But the other thing that we need to understand about stress, especially chronic stress, is that the body is no longer making healing a priority. When you're stressed, when you're under attack, your motive is only to survive the moment, not to fix things and make them better for next day or next week. So what happens is with cortisol, it actually reduces repair. It
actually reduces repair.
Contributes instead. It increases breakdown.
It contributes instead. It increases breakdown.
So when your cortisol is high, your tissues don't repair.
When your cortisol is higher, your tissues don't repair.
They get frail.
They get real.
You bruise easy.
You bruise easy. You bruise easy. 你很容易出现淤伤。
And because chronic stress is such a huge problem, because people don't heal properly anymore, they've tried to figure out ways to deal with this. And one thing that I really want to help you understand is vagus nerve stimulator.
Vagus nerve stimulator. Vagus nerve stimulator. 迷走神经刺激器。
And here's the thinking behind that. So we have two branches to the autonomic nervous system. When you have a stress response, that's called the sympathetic nervous system. There's two branches. The sympathetic is your stress or your fight flight, and it basically turns things on. It revs up the gas to get you ready for that fight. The other side is called the parasympathetic. That's the thing that slows you down. That's the other side of that seesaw, if you will. And it slows you down, it gets you calm and relaxed, and it's also referred as the feed-breed part of the nervous system. So
Referred as the feed-breed part of the nervous system. Referred as the feed-breed part of the nervous system. 被称为神经系统中的进食繁衍相关的部分。
the sympathetic, the stress response, it will increase your heart rate. It will do all those things to get you ready for a fight.
It will do all the things to get you ready for a fight.
It will increase your muscle tension, like
Increase your muscle
we
tension.
talked about. It will increase your blood pressure.
It will increase your blood pressure.
And it will increase your blood sugar.
Increase your blood sugar.
Now, the parasympathetic, the
Now the parasympathetic,
feed-breed, on the other hand,
the feed-breed, on the other hand,
it is responsible for digestion, for immune system, for your reproductive function, and for your healing.